Well, this was a bit of a rush job. We're back in Virtual Pool 4. We're back for a match in this year's 9-Ball Masters. And it's a one-loss side match between Larry and Mr. Fox. I just got a message from Larry about 5 minutes ago that their match was about to start in 2 minutes. So it's taken me that amount of time to get this thing set up. And, well, this is just going to take me to my bedtime, I think. Remember, it is race to 11, it's alternate break, and there are no jump cues, and Larry's already 1-0 up, and he's at the table. Let's have a quick check. I didn't think I was going to get any matches in today. Right, that's working okay. Well, Larry's got an awkward one here trying to get on this 4. This 4's tight in the left rail, and he's going to have to leave an awkward angle to cut this unless he tries to find a gap or something. It was always going to be really awkward. Wait a minute, I'll get my mouse on too high. Yep, he's in trouble now. Going to have to get the kick. Now if he can get this thin enough and hard enough, he can double it across the table and try to that cue ball back up the top end. I don't know whether he's just going to try and roll safe. Yep, obviously didn't have a good angle to do it. I doubt very much whether anybody will join. This has just been very last minute this to get this match, but this 4 ball's going to go in off the 5. Well, he should have hit it harder. You've got to stun that to get that to go in. I would have thought that was the plan there, just to hit it firm and get the 5 ball moving and just ride your luck you're going to have a shot. But I don't know whether he played it gentle to try and just roll the 4 past that middle pocket. Good evening. Well, that's ended up a good safety there by Larry. A reminder, I can't remember who it is now. It's totally gone out of my head. There's a match tonight at 9 o'clock. Or was it tonight, or was it last night? Oh, it was last night. My head's all in a muddle here with what matches are on, because I've missed most of them because I've got to get to bed early, and hopefully this match will be over just by my bedtime. So Larry's got his chance again to open up the gap, and I keep stressing, I stress at every match, it's so important to capitalise when you get that break, to get that rack in the board and create the gap when it's alternate break. Oh, that's right. When's is it not Moz tonight? Is Moz not playing as well? I think Moz is playing at 9. So I'm going to have, if I presume his mates are going to stream it, so I'm going to have to watch that on Twitch tomorrow at some time. So Larry is going to have that gap. It's going to be 2-0. And now the break stays with Larry. So already straight away Mr. Fox is going to be under pressure come his break in the next rack. If he can't take advantage here as well, that will really pile on the pressure. Well, Larry's come up dry, and I don't think he's left anything. The 2's locked away behind the 9 at the top of the table, so there's nothing doing here at the moment for either player. Good evening. As I say, this was last minute, so I missed the start of the match. I didn't think there was anything scheduled this early in the evening, so now that it is, I can hopefully manage to get it in before I go to bed. And I'll tell you what else I'm missing. I'm missing the Prime Minister's broadcast as well to get this. I'll need to watch that on iPlayer later or tomorrow sometime. So we're going to get a bit of safety here. And that has got Larry in a bit of trouble. It's a straightforward enough kick from the long side rail on the right hand side, but unless he wants to try and play it dead weight, if he hits this firm, he can do it with the assurance that the 2 ball is still awkward. And I think Mr. Fox might be looking to try and 3-foul Larry here, because there's no point in trying to create anything spectacular where the 2 ball is. The 2 ball's dead. It's dead up there behind the 9, so you can't get on the 2. He's looking to play the combo on the 4. And unless he plays a good shot here, he's got no advantage at all. I'd have thought he'd have been trying to 3-foul Larry. That'd have been one option. You see now he's got cover, but it's so easy to hit. And again, Larry doesn't have to worry about the 2 ball, provided he doesn't do anything silly and break open the 2 and 9 from this shot. Well, playing it from that side, if he's going to try and chip the 1, I thought he's going to try and squeeze in between the 3 and 7 there, but he's okay. So it's all going to hinge on how this 2 and 9 gets broken out. Well, the one thing to look at up here is that there's an easy safety if somebody gets down here and just kicks the 2 up the table. There's an easy safety option. And once again, Larry's in a bit of trouble. And this is another shot where you don't want to be moving too many balls to run into that 2 and 9. It's a good hit. Okay, the 1 will pot, but where the cue ball's going, cue ball going back over here, he's going to be blocked out in the 2 more or less. Well, he's gone inside. Well, that was always odds on that was going to happen from that right hand side. So now Mr. Fox is in trouble, and even if he just pushes out and doesn't try and hit this and play the deliberate foul, he could be in a lot more trouble. Did that 8 get to the rail? Yes, it did. So that's ended up a good safety. So the 8 touched the rail. As long as a ball hits the rail, when the cue ball hits the object ball, doesn't matter what ball it hits the rail, as long as something hits the rail, it's a legal shot. And another good safety by Larry. And again, an easy kick though, and there's a fair chance this could go in if he kicks from the short rail on the bottom here by roughly the middle diamond, maybe just to the right of the middle diamond as we look. Well, he's gone the other side of the middle diamond. Yeah, I thought it was just slightly to the right of the middle diamond for the line to try and kick that in. Now what's he left? Well, he's got cover. That's all that matters when you play a kick shot, because you have no guarantee of where the balls are going to end up. So the 6 has come into play. Oops, I'm just going to do a bit of advertising while I'm here. Oh, that won't work now. That's great. You can't paste when you're streaming. for some strange reason. I don't know why, but it won't let me do it. Anyway, well, now the 7 and the 8 are locked together. Let's have a look at these, see how they look. Well, the 8 is heading to the rail that way. It would be sort of long odds to be trying to create a combo from that side, but if you hit the 8 from that side, you're going to knock the 7 in. So that might be one option, and it might be worth thinking ahead here. Now, should Mr. Fox get this 3 and 5 ball, then I reckon unless he has an angle to get into that 7 and 8, he might be better playing the 6 onto the 8 and playing the combo and riding his luck, because he might not get any other chance to break out this 7 and 8. So this shot here is important. If you look at it, he can easily play the combo, because the 7 has got to go in. There's no way it won't go in. So he's probably better, if he's planning ahead, playing that 6 onto the 7 and 8. Well, now he's got no angle whatsoever. He's got no angle at all to break the 7 and 8, so he's got to play the combo. Well, he's now looking at it. You can see the 7 goes. There's no doubt at all the 7's going to go. He just has to brush that 6 onto the edge of the 8, and the 7 can't go anywhere else but in the hole. But he has to just, hopefully, for his sake, get lucky. So that was a shot to solve the problem of the breakout. And now, well, with the pressure on, trailing 2-0, he's going to have to pull out a shot to sink this 6 and get on the 8 ball. Good evening, Stub. Well, he's hung up the 6 and he's staring at 3-0 here. Shouldn't be any problem for Larry to come up the table. Can just chip the 6 in and drop down with a decent angle on the 8 to get the cue ball back out for the 9, and it should be 3-0. Well, Larry, what are you doing here? He's almost got there, but he's left it really tight. Well, I'm still sticking by it. Whatever I say, I don't like that mouse. It doesn't give you that control. There's no way with a normal mouse you'd end up there, surely. And now he's going to have to cut out another one. It's either the cut or the bank. The bank is odds on to reverse bank this 9. Now if you do that, it gives you 2 chances for it to go in. If you're going to cut it, you've only got 1 chance. So he's going for the cut by the looks of it. Well, he got himself out of trouble again, but he should never have been there. That was a poorly controlled shot off that 6. But nevertheless, it's 3-0 and the break goes back to Mr. Fox. And this time, 3 ball is certainly 1. I thought it was more than 1, but there's just the 1 ball going in. But unfortunately, he's got no shot in the 1. Just to push out. Well, if he plays the push out to the top end, there's a problem here. Larry will play the 1 to the 7. as a combo, so he's left it square, which was a wise choice. But if Larry can see enough of the one, he can get half the right side of that one and send the cue ball down here. So what he wants to be doing is banking the one back to there, cue ball down to here. This is a cover zone in here, and the cue be one ball up there somewhere. You're looking to hide him, unless he's trying to pull off a bank again. I know if I was leading 3-0, I wouldn't be pushing the boat out, because all you're going to do is risk the chance of letting your opponent back in when you've got a perfectly good chance of playing a decent safety. Well, Larry's went the other way and it's still worked out. Doesn't matter how you do it, it's the sensible shot. Get a decent safety, keep your opponent under pressure. Well, Mr. Fox gets the hit, but doesn't get the safety. Good evening. I don't recognise that name. Maybe it is a name that's been here before, but I don't recognise that one. Oh, I recognise that one. Good evening, Moz. Well, if you guys keep setting your matches at too late for me, then I can't get them. I've got to be in bed about 8:30 at the latest to get up at 2:30 in the morning to go to work. So if you set a match at 8 o'clock at night, there's no way I'm going to get it. Anything later than that, forget about it. Oh, they're all dropping in. Good evening. Welcome. Well, Larry is 3-0 up, and a quick recap for anybody who's forgotten what the tournament rules are. We've got race to 11 in this one-loss side. We've got no jump cues, and it's alternate break. So you can see that Mr. Fox has got himself into a bit of a hole here, and well, he's going to have to get a few favours from Larry to get himself back into this match. That's how difficult it is with the alternate break system. And Mr. Fox, well, what's he planning here? Is he trying to create something? No, he's going all out for the two. That cue ball needs to keep running. I think he's almost there, and he's going to have to get control again. Well, he's gone for the bank to stay in the 5. Well, the table's wide open now, so it's his rack to lose. He should run out. Can't see any problems here unless it's a scratch somewhere, but he should be off the mark. And again, anybody who hasn't checked the tournament brackets, or if you can't see the banners when you're in the VP4 lobby, just type /SB for show banners, and then you can click on the tournament link right at the top of the list, and then you click the bracket so you can see what matches are on. There's the other big match tonight, Moz's match. I think that's scheduled for 9 o'clock. I'll be long gone by then though. I won't see it. I'll need to watch it on Twitch tomorrow. Well, there's a mistake, and you cannot forgive that. That was a wide open table. Even I could have cleared that table, and that's saying something. But that is a poor mistake, and that's gifted it to Larry. You cannot do that. Good evening, Slim. Yeah, it was a last minute thing. I missed to start the match. Larry sent me a message. I hadn't been looking at the bracket, and well, he told me they were about to start, and it was 10 to 7 that it started, and I arrived. I managed to get my stream set up within about 5 or 6 minutes, so I missed the first rack. But this will be it for the night, folks. Just the one match. Good luck to the guys that are playing later on. Just a pity I couldn't get to see it. Good evening, Bill. Oh, they're all coming out the woodwork tonight. They're all appearing from everywhere. Well, Larry playing the combo. And again, Larry's missed the combo. And Mr. Fox has a nasty cutback on this 2-ball. Now that cue ball is going to run across into the 8 by the look of it. I don't think he can avoid it. And again, I don't know how thin he needs to hit this. Yeah, he's run into the 8. Now what's happened? Well, he can see the 4, but he certainly, unless he bends that, surely. Oh, what the hell have I done with my bloody mouse here? Hang on a sec. Have a look. Yeah, he's going to try and bend it to hold the line, I think, and try and make the pot. Or is he going to try and jump? Oh, good luck. Well, he made the jump, just didn't pick the line. Well, I hope everybody's safe. I hope their families are all safe. This bloody thing's going to go on for the rest of the year. I mean, there's Germany today. In case anybody hasn't paid any attention to the news, Angela Merkel has been relaxing the restrictions over the last few days, and what came out in the news today, the bloody ad levels going up. There's more infections. They're going ahead for disaster, Germany. They're trying to come out far too soon, and they may pay the price for that. And I'll tell you something else. When I was at work today, the car park outside my store was a lot busier, and when I was driving home, the road was a lot busier. There's people up here are thinking it's they were trying to make the most of the sunshine we had today, but there's snow up north as that cold front moves through, so they won't be out in the sun tomorrow. That's one thing. But people are just becoming a bit blasé about it because they haven't caught anything, and they're just giving it short shrift, and they might live to, well, they might die to regret it. They won't live to regret it. They might die to regret it. Just do as you're told, take the advice, and if you've got nothing else to do, just stay in the house. Watch some pool. Well, there's one other person that's in dire straits here, and that's Mr. Fox. Larry at the table, and Mr. Fox is staring 5-0. But Larry's got himself straight in this 8-ball here. He's going to have to punch this in. Whether he goes forward or comes back, he's going to have to move it. Well, I believe what they say about Germany, because the figures show that's the case. They're now up to like 1,000 deaths in the last couple of days, whereas it had gone down. And that's what we don't want to happen here. all because Boris says they're over the peak. You know, does everybody think it's time to party? It is most certainly not the time to do anything stupid. But the trouble is, we've got that many idiots living amongst us, they'll do it. Well, it has to be said right now that in this race to 11, for Larry to lose this match, he's going to have to hit a brick wall and disaster ensue, because when you're 5-0 up in a race to 11, there's no way you should be losing the match. Not when you've got Larry's ability. You've just got to bide your time. All the onus is on Mr. Fox to create things. Larry doesn't have to do anything other than take what's there. That should be the plan. Oh, and again, another poor one. Mr. Fox is planning ahead, trying to break out the 4. Well, that's fine, but he's gone and dollied the 2 ball and he's hung it up, and this is exactly what Larry just needs to do. Larry doesn't need to push the boat out, he just needs to wait on the mistakes, and Mr. Fox is playing right into his hands. And here's another rack that should be on the board. Plenty of room over the right side by the middle pocket for this 5 ball, and nothing that he needs to do to get on the 7. Maybe he's dead straight though. Yeah, well, he can just pinch it around the corner, a little bit of forward around the angles. Well, he's now gone straight. Now these are the ones that Larry either gets good or he doesn't with this bloody mouse that he uses, and he's got it right this time. Now he's has he got too much angle just to drop through? He may well have, I don't know. I think he has. Can he hold that? Nah, he had to go down and up. Big area to get into, and well, unless he has a disaster here, it's going to be 6-0. Well, you see, the point I'm making now is it doesn't matter how well Mr. Fox plays for the rest of the match. It doesn't matter. He's 6-0 down. That's what matters. And no matter how well he plays, if he breaks every rack and gets a ball and runs out, he's still losing. Because, as I say, Larry would have to have an absolute nightmare for the rest of this match to actually lose it. He would have to capitulate big time, and I don't see that happening. Even in Larry's worst days, I don't see that happening. That's why alternate break is so important, to not make mistakes but capitalise on your break, and just hope you get lucky, hope you get a break, get a ball and get a run out to immediately put pressure on your opponent. And as soon as you go behind, you're chasing your tail. But it has to be said, there's been 2 glaring mistakes that we've witnessed. That 9 ball earlier on by Mr. Fox with a wide open table. A table, as I said, I could have run it no problem, and he's hung up the 9, rattled it round the jaws, and then that 2 ball into the left middle, that was really bad. That is taking your eye right off the ball, so he's got nobody to blame but himself. Now Larry's having a look at the 3 ball after this too. Well, we can see that doesn't go. It's so tight from there, but he could play the combo. He might just take his medicine. Well, he's not got the best angles to play the shot, but he can play the combo. Just got to get this 3 ball sweet onto the 4. If it punches into the 4, the 4's just going to come straight off the rail. If he gets it right on the point of that 4 ball, it'll roll down into the pocket. He might play the cross double here as well. He's got a couple of choices, but he's really got to go for it. Yeah, that's what he's tried. He's just hit it and it's punched it into the rail, but look what he's got. Larry's got the running. He's got the luck. And Mr. Fox, well, can use the 6 ball as a stopper, but he's played the combo, riding his luck. Going to have to dig out another one. And this cue ball, unless he does something with it, is going to go dangerously over towards that 4. This is all your eggs in one basket here. You're trailing 6-0. You've got an awkward shot. Well, he's missed the 4. So really this rack is going to hinge on this 4 ball. Cue ball's going to be running up to that 8 and 7. And he's got to hope that he just finds the gap and the cue ball comes back up the table, unless he starts trying to put fizz on the cue ball. Well, you see, that's what he's tried. He's tried to do something with the cue ball where the natural shot would be just to cut it and let the cue ball run and take the risk. He's trying to play the shot to get him on the 5 to be sure, but it's cost him again. Yeah, I couldn't tell you who the winner of this match plays next. I haven't the foggiest idea. And I don't know. I actually don't know how the winner's side's going either. I just know that there's a couple of matches on, but I don't know really who's ending up playing who. I don't know who Stubb plays next. Well, was that the right shot for Mr. Fox to play? Well, most people would say, well, it was the right shot to make sure he got on the 5, but he's pushing the boat out again. And it's another one where it's going to cost him. I would have just been more inclined to make sure I got the 7 and let the cue ball run and hope that I found that gap, because there was a fair chance the cue ball would have found a gap maybe between the 7 and 8 and run back up the table. But that's all in hindsight. Oh well, is Cobra going to hold his nerve? Cobra's good. He's good in challenge rooms, but he's yet to fulfill his potential in these big tournaments when the question's asked of him. So Larry 7-0 up, and probably, well, let's be generous and say 3 of those racks were oh look, everything's happening for Larry now. Everything's going right for him. Rattles the 1, straight onto the cue ball, straight back into the pocket. Yeah, well, Cobra has certainly he's got good control, but how good's his control when he's under pressure in one of these big tournaments? That's where I have my doubts about him. But then again, Cobra's due to hand somebody a good tanning in one of these tournaments at some point, and his match against Stubb would be a good one to do it. So Larry 7-0, 4 ball over the top right hand corner pocket, bit straight in the 3, but doesn't really need to do anything with the cue ball other than just keep it there or thereabouts. Drop the 4 in and use the natural angle off the pot just to come out for the 5. See, even this shot, you've just got to be a wee bit careful, because if you let this cue ball run too far, you're going in behind the 6. Well, now the important one, well, he can run this through and run the cue ball, or he can stun it in and draw it up, draw the cue ball back to the left, and the only danger is hooking himself behind the 8. Is he going to get there? Well, commentator's eye does it again. That was the only danger, was drawn across and locking himself behind the 8, and there's a lifeline here for Mr. Fox, but the way Larry's vlog's been going so far, he'll probably kick this in. What? Commentator's eye again, but I'm calling him good tonight, folks. Well, now Larry's got a problem, because he's not banking the 7. Well, mind you, might bank it onto the 9 and pot the 9. You never know. It might be worth having a go, Larry. You might as well ride your luck. Now, he looks as if he's running to the long grass here, is he? Is he going to just try and bank the 7 over behind the 8? Oh dear. Well, he's now had a disaster. And is Mr. Fox going to take this opportunity this time? The first real why is he putting the cue ball so close? I was wondering what he was doing there. The first real unforced error, I think, by Larry, or the real one worth mentioning, that may well cost him the rack this time. So at last, but through a bit of assistance, this is what I said, the only thing that Mr. Fox can rely on now is Larry making mistakes. And Larry made the mistake, and this time it cost him the rack, so it's now 7-1, but the break has gone straight back to Larry, although it's dry. And it's another tough starter here for Mr. Fox. Now if he goes to cut it in past the 2, the surefire is going to hit the 3 ball. This is a tight angle to read. The pocket's quite big though, so if he cuts it towards the lower jaw, well, he's gone the other way, and where's the cue ball ending up? Well, that's what happens when it ain't your day. If he took the more awkward cut, there's no way that would have happened. He would have ran into the 3 ball and still had a shot in the 2. As it is, he's cut it into the right hand corner pocket, and the path of the cue ball was always going to end up somewhere up in the top right hand corner. Well, this time he's tried to jump, and of course without the jump cue it's a whole different ball game, trying to line up a jump shot. And Larry now just having a look at the setup here, so he's got a picture in his head of how he's going to run out. Seems straightforward enough to use the angle he's got here to find that gap that he's got between the 9 and the 7 to get on the 4. He's under hit it. He's just chickened out a wee bit there, Larry. He had another foot to work with there, so now the problem is potting the 4 and holding for the 5, and there's a bit of traffic in his way as well. There's no way I think he can hold for that 5. He's going to have to run the cue ball again and hope that he finds a clean path to get back up the table. Well, he's putting big draw into this. He's maybe trying to draw into the 5. Yeah, well, that's worked out perfect. That is an excellent shot. He's drawn into the 5, got the bonus, a pot and a 5, and he's plumb on the 6. Now this time he needs to get a bit more force into this to get that cue ball right over to the right hand side by the middle pocket. And that's a bit better. That's exactly where he wanted to be. And now he's in good shape. Now ideally he wants to be on the rail here if he can, or thereabouts, because it leaves him that little angle. See, again he's gone a wee bit straight, but there's no real alarm bells. He just needs to roll through 2 inches, leave this 9 ball straight in. So Larry's now 8-1 and more or less home and dry. It's just about marking time now. Break goes back to Mr. Fox, and he's getting no joy whatsoever. Now Larry's sitting on the 1. Now if he hits this again firm enough, he can still come back across for that 2. He wants to be able to take the 2 into the left corner pocket, and that's going to work out nice. Unfortunately he hasn't hit the 9. If he'd hit the 9 it would have been perfect. He's now running up the table. Well, there's the gap. There's the gap there. So that means that he can run the cue ball off that 2 down to here. If he just plays at dead weight pace, he'll just the natural path would be to find the gap there. Well, he's played a little draw to make sure, and that's a much better way of making sure you're going to get the shot. He had enough angle there just to hold it. What's the score on your screen, Tin? It's 7. It's 8-1, so it can't be a whitewash. Oh, a semi-whitewash, I get you now. I never saw that, but I just saw whitewash. Well, it's all about pace again, keeping that cue ball somewhere in the middle of the table to leave yourself a shot. And that's going to run behind the 7. Now, how does it look from Larry's side? I don't think, has he got enough there? Is that a good guide to actually pot that 5? I don't know whether he's got enough. Well, Mr. Fox hopes he doesn't, because he's ready to pounce. Yeah, just enough to get that 5 ball. It was touch and go whether he could see enough of it, but he gets the 5, and he might go forward and inside that 8 ball on the right hand side here for the cue ball up to the right middle pocket again. That'd be one way. I don't know how straight he is in this 6. He could stun around the angles if he hits it firm. Yes, he's gone forward and inside. Well, he's hit it maybe a bit too much or not enough, because the angle's taking him away from the 8 ball here. Did I call the wrong ball again? It won't be the first time and last time I've ever done that shot. Well, this is the crucial one. Let's have a quick look, see what he's got. Just off angle, it's off straight. Now remember what we always say, don't go in the short side to the top rail on this 9 ball. Oh, and that's what's happened. He's had to punch it and he's rattled the 8 and he's left it safe. Well, see, this is not a great bank, even it's on the first diamond. This, at this angle, this is going to have to go straight in. I don't think he'll get a second bite at the cherry, and he doesn't fancy it. He's going to try and thin it and head up the table. Well, this time Larry is going to have the double bank. I'm pretty certain he's going to, he could roll up to the 8 and just push it to the rail, but he's more inclined to go for the bank. And in it goes, and the cue ball's travelling nicely, and Larry is getting there. And I think the break goes back to Larry, does it not? Yeah, so Larry now 9-1 up, needing 2 more. Well, Larry's came up dry and Mr. Fox has got nothing. Looking to play the push out. Well, he could be in a bit of bother here. There's good cover there for this cue ball behind the 3 and the 8. He could try and leave the cue ball on the 6, but either way, again, this is where when you play the push out, you've got to look at what you're going to be leaving, and it was odds on Larry was going to use the 3 and 8 ball. We've seen a few players not really thinking when they're playing this push out. Mr. Fox trying the big mass 8, but ended up in the big miscue. So Larry gets the reward. You play the good safety, but Mr. Fox walks straight into that one by playing a bad choice of shot in the push out. So it's the old join the dot routine here. This is the one that could go wrong though, because he's playing to get on the 4, and then of course look where the 6 ball is. It's at the top end of the table. So this is the crucial one, and it couldn't be any worse position. He's going to have to thump this, and I mean thump it, to get this cue ball running. This has got to go sweet into the pocket, or at the pace he's hitting it, he could hang it up, and the cue ball's running, and if it misses at 8, it's perfect. Absolutely perfect. And he's got a nice angle to stun this in, get the cue ball up past the 8 for that 7 into the left middle. Yes, it is birds. Well, I've got a starling's nest in the house, and the young are always chirping when the mother comes in. But they won't be chirping too much longer. It's about time for their bed as well. They've nested in my house for about the last, oh God, it must be the last 7 years. I don't know whether it's the same bird or whether it's the offspring that are nesting, but they've been in the same spot for the last 7 years. So Larry now on the hill. It's 10-1. And it's, well, it's been, well, barely 45 minutes I've been on. So it is going to be an early night. But Mr. Fox's demise, he's played a fair part in that himself, it has to be said. There's 2 racks that should have been on the board for him, but he gave them away. And then a poor choice of shot on that push out that left Larry in control. But can Mr. Fox take this rack out to keep the match going at least for one more rack? Well, I think this is pretty straight. No, he's got a wee angle, just enough. Well, you go forward with this with a little feather of inside. Well, he's trying to stun it across. That's not the shot I would have played. I would have erred on the much more lightly shot. This just leaves this awkward cut again. And where's the cue ball? Oh, he's okay. Well, he's got 1 on the board again. And now this is where he's hoping for a miracle. So Larry with the break, looking for a ball and looking for a shot. And he isn't getting it, and he's leaving the 1 on. The 3 ball isn't good. The 7 ball isn't good. And, well, Mr. Fox has to get wily as a fox here. Well, I think that's ended up not too bad, apart from the fact he's way low in the 3, and the other problem is the 5 hasn't cleared far enough, but he's played the billiard, good shot, but pushed the 3 safe. And again, it's desperate measures here just to stay alive in the match. It's going to need a good shot down the rail, and that's what happens. Pushed it into the knuckle. Well, it's all going to hinge on the 7 ball. Let's have a quick look at the 7. Well, there's more room there than you think. If Larry can just drop down onto this top rail, he's got a shot. Doesn't need to try and disturb the 9, he just needs to get over on the left hand side and judge the pace. The problem is how good is he going to be on the 6 to be able to do that. Well, if he leaves this straight somehow, he could draw, but he's got too high an angle on the 4, and that's the immediate problem. Well, the Twitch delay for the stream is usually, the stream itself is usually about 2 seconds. What you've got to remember is that Restream, which is the site that I use to mix the chat, it takes feeds from YouTube, Twitch and Facebook, and it takes the feeds of all the chat. Oh, that almost looked very good there for Larry, but he couldn't get to that left side, which would have left him open in the 7. But he's played a good safety. Yeah, the delay in the chat is not YouTube or Twitch or Facebook. The delay in the chat is Restream feeding the chat to the other 3 channels. Well, you know your day is doomed to failure when you play a perfectly good kick and the cue ball trots straight into the pocket. Well, Larry's still got to get up for the 9, and the 8 ball is fairly close to the rail. Yeah, well, I've authorised Restream to take the chat from those 3 sources. Once it gets them, it then sends it out to the channels, or in which case you see it on my screen in the room when when you're watching my stream. You see all the chat mixed. So that's the delay there. But the best stream to watch is usually Twitch, because it's got a much shorter delay. But anyway, this match is over. I can't look at the bracket because we don't have the internal browser, and I don't have the bracket up. But anyway, Larry survives. He marches on. He's going to have to march on a bit more if he's going to get through to the final. And he wins the match comfortably by 11 racks to 2. So remember, folks, there's another good match going to start. Well, I don't know whether there's one starting at 8, but there's certainly one. Is it Moz at 8 o'clock? I thought it was 9. I think there's something at 9 anyway, but I won't see it. So good luck to all the participants. Larry's just played. Who else, Tin? Who's playing Columbus? I can't remember who it is. Oh, your match starting at 8. Well, I'll watch the first few racks of that then, and then I'll head to bed. So anyway, guys, thanks for your company, and take care, and we will see you again soon, whenever that might be, and I'll bid you good night.